Technology, diversity, wine, the redwoods, and everything in between. Welcome to the Northern California Bay Area, and one show takes you inside the real estate that makes it all happen. This is By the Bay.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to By the Bay. I am your host, Dan Anchetta, and I'm really grateful that you're here. Please do like and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and anywhere else you may be listening or watching to this podcast. I am really happy to welcome my friend Ashley Biernier to the show. She is the creative director and owner of Refine Creative Co. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Because you say refined,
Yes.
but we're talking refine, like the action. It's a verb, right? So we've been friends for a long time, and I'm grateful that we actually ran into it at the park. I think that's how
Yes.
all this kind of started. So shout out to Leghorn Park in Petaluma. And so thanks for being here. And this year we're kind of like kicking off the show with a lot of conversation about business plans and how people are structuring their business. And I think the marketing and like the creative that goes behind that is super important. So I wanted to have you on the show to talk about like practical tips that you might have for small businesses, specifically realtors. But your focus is more like small, medium-sized businesses. And talk about like, how do you actually put together the marketing plan? So first introduce yourself and kind of your company and kind of how we got to this point.
Okay, so I started Refine Creative Co. 5 years ago. I was actually in the investment industry for 9 years before that. I was a financial advisor actually at the time, working with quite a few realtors.
Okay.
We were doing the, referral thing back and forth, but also working with them on their own portfolios.
Got it.
And I just really liked the aspect of my job that was creating. I was a junior partner to a senior. And I really liked the aspect of, okay, how do we get referrals? How do we get new clients, get our eyes on, or, our business on new eyes, et cetera. And I started making the marketing plans for our advisory.
Right. So the marketing plan before was kind of like whatever the brokerage is doing, right? Or like
Correct.
the big company was.
Yes.
And then it's like taking the big company. So like that's the Coldwell Banker or whatever for a realtor. Excuse me. And then like refining it down into, down into like their own identity as an individual.
Correct. So they started encouraging us to kind of personal brand, right? And a lot of the financial advisors did not know how to do that. And I just started going into action. I was, younger, so I knew how to work social media,
You
et
had to
cetera.
log in, and that was the prerequisite to.
Obviously, there were a lot of rules because of the regulatory stuff. But with the social media, it was less so social media. We started doing the social media, and we started doing events. We started tiering our clients. And so this was all sales, mixed
So tell me
right?
about, kind of as we go through this, tiering your clients, what does that mean?
So we had clients at different income levels and engagement levels. And so we would kind of look at our client portfolio because it was a larger investment firm. So we had quite a few clients. We had a pretty big volume of clients. So you're like
ranking them. This is an A client, B client. And then depending on which category you were in, you got kind of different invites to things. And
correct. Different types of events. So our clients that, for example, did not necessarily have a huge portfolio, but were wanting to learn more, we did quarterly events for them. And they were just wine, we worked with different wineries. We were in Napa. So we worked with different wineries and brought them in and did a tasting in the lobby. And that achieved quite a few things, right? We're building rapport with these clients. And then we were also able to give them, more insight into us, getting to know us, building that rapport. We were doing double duty because the wineries were usually, the owners were our clients or the winemakers were our clients.
Right. Keeping it all kind of within the sphere.
Exactly.
So it's really interesting because I think that's a good lesson for people in real estate is to like look at your database, look at your client list, and like put people into categories. And that's okay to go like, hey, these referral partners are my best referral partners. And you might want to do something different for them than you do for, a steady but not, not prolific referral partner.
Mhm.
And then like maybe a referral partner that's not referring to you a bunch, but has huge potential to, you might treat that, have a different plan for them.
Yes.
Right.
Mhm.
So that's the idea, is like segmenting your database and then treating people or marketing to them in different ways to achieve, your objective.
Yes. One of those higher ticket referral events was when the Archer Hotel was opening in downtown Napa. We connected with their team and we pitched it to them as a cross-marketing opportunity, because in Napa, there's still so much of that community feel.
Totally.
And they were going to fail if they did not embrace the locals,
Right.
and
like
just
connect.
went with tourists.
Yep.
So we worked with them to do a sneak peek of the hotel and the restaurant before it opened. So our clients got to tour the hotel before it opened, and then were able to have a sit-down multi-course meal at the restaurant before it opened as well.
That's so cool.
And
what a cool experience for your
oh yes,
for your clients to be able to go and see that
yes,
and like have that exclusive, like it's a win-win, right? So you're getting
absolutely.
this captive audience of high net worth individuals to come tour your luxury hotel and
Mhm.
tell their friends and employees and whatever their business associates about it or whatever. And then also you get to have an exclusive view for only your clients.
Correct. Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
we created this incredibly memorable experience. The hotel team did a fantastic job. I mean, they went above and beyond, greeted with champagne at the beginning. And actually, Charlie Palmer was I don't know if he still is, the owner of the restaurant.
Okay.
And he cooked the meal himself
Yeah.
and then came out and
Amazing.
said hello to everyone.
So I think you said something interesting there that is like a memorable experience.
Mhm.
And I think as like a marketer, right, that's like what you're trying to achieve,
Mhm.
right, is an experience that people can remember, that they still feel years after the actual event.
Correct.
So can you give some tips on like what a small business can do,
Yeah.
like to create that type of wow, lasting impression?
Absolutely. I'm a huge fan of handwritten notes.
Okay.
We have kind of lost that art of handwritten notes and more unique gifting instead of the very corporate gifting. I know when you're going through like a Coldwell Banker or something, there's like this approved gifting site that you can use, but you can kind of go rogue on your own as well.
Sure.
We actually had a realtor client in Napa who every Thanksgiving would go get a ton of pies from Costco. And she did just 2, or she tried to do a local business if she could.
Mhm.
But when that became too pricey because it was Napa, et
Sure.
cetera, she would get them from Costco and she would be at the office and she would hand out pies to her clients.
Yeah, that's a really cool, like I see that there's a few folks in town that would do that now,
Mhm.
and their clients love it and they rave about it.
Yeah.
And it's, it's not that expensive. It's like $12 a pie or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it
Exactly.
keeps you top of mind.
Yes.
Right.
Or just thinking about their situation. So that's where your client service comes in too, right? Because if you're building the rapport and you know what's going on in their lives, you make a note of their birthday or you utilize your CRM in the way that it's supposed to be utilized, then you can really do great things. Is there a baby that's going to be born? We used to send to certain clients, we used to send one of those wooden stools with the name in the stool that's like a puzzle kind of thing.
Oh, that's really cool.
And that we would send to their
That's a really wonderful idea. I'm
Yeah.
gonna totally do that because in our house there's stools, and wherever a sink is, there has to be a kid's stool
Mhm.
because we have 3 littles, and that how memorable of a thing that would be to have like
Oh, yeah.
that in place they'll be there for years.
Oh,
I got a
yes.
14-year-old. I got the stool.
Yeah.
I got stools for each kid from a gift from a client.
Oh,
That's
perfect.
amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's
Podcast Phil, who's
Yes.
behind the mic, jumped in, and that's okay. He was just saying that that his 2 kids were gifted stools when they were kids, and now they're teenagers, and they're still around the house. So we always to your point, we talk about gifting regularly in our office, and we're always like, we don't want to create landfill, right? We don't want there to be junk that we're sending to people that they just go, oh, that's nice, and they chuck it in the garbage, right? I'm like trying to be more
The tchotchkes.
right. The tchotchkes
Yeah.
is not good.
Yes.
So that's a really wonderful idea because it's going to stick around in the house for a long time.
Yes. Yeah. And it's personal, right? So the main thing that I harp on constantly in my business for my clients, for people who are not my clients, who are just watching me on social media, is the personal aspect, right?
Totally.
That's where you create the memorable experience. And you can do that digitally. You can do that with gifting. You can do that with a handwritten note.
So, my goodness, sorry for everyone who's listening. My voice is just awful today, so I'm trying to not do this right into the microphone. But this is the joy of podcasting. This is happening in real time. So, so I love the handwritten notes. We do that. The personalized gifts, thinking about, do they have a dog? Do they have a kid? Like, what's happening in their life? Are they engaged and they're buying houses and then they're going to be married. So, thinking about those life events driven things. Talk to me a little bit more about the event side. Are you consulting with your clients on?
So I don't plan events.
Okay.
Kudos to anyone that does.
Yes.
It's very detail oriented, which I can be, but I've done a couple of events and it was a lot.
Okay.
So I farm that out.
You farm that out, which is good. Stay in your lane. Know where your expertise is.
I'm type A, but I'm not that type A. So no, I the strategy more.
Okay.
So for example, I work with a commercial real estate client, and it's a shopping center, and we coordinate with the tenants on their opening events and anniversary events and whatever events in between that they want to do.
Got it.
And we have a tenant opening this weekend, and we coordinated with them and got them to do a gift with purchase kind of thing. So spend $250 and you get a ticket and you're entered into a raffle, and they will pay for pony rides for your kid.
That's so cool.
It's kind of a mommy and me thing. So that's not the only thing they have going on. They're doing, which is without revealing too much because it's happening this weekend.
Yes.
But it's very on brand for this tenant. They're doing flower crown making, a photo booth.
So are you helping them come up with those creative ideas and then putting into execution?
We do help with the ideas. We do, however, have someone on the marketing team for this client who does on the ground event stuff.
Got it.
So she has the connections.
So you're backing them up with whatever type of marketing collateral and stuff that goes along with
newsletter, promotion, etc. We have a graphic designer on that team too, so I'm not.
I love the idea of event-based marketing. I think that it's underutilized in the mortgage and real estate and financial space. We just recently did when Moana 2 came out.
I saw that. That was a memorable moment.
It was a super memorable moment, and we invited 15 families or so that had recently bought houses, they had kids, and we did popcorn and the whole deal, and just did the whole experience, and everyone loved it. It was so much fun. Again, not original idea. It's been done.
Oh, it was so good though.
But it was great. It was a great thing. We brought our step and repeat, and got photos, and it was a good time. So talk to me about other things that you're doing right now, like practical things that you're helping your clients with that might apply to a real estate professional.
Yeah. So right now I'm talking to my clients. We're having a lot of conversations about digital versus in person, right? Because we're seeing a shift. So some of my clients have e-commerce businesses, and we're seeing a shift to back to in person. It's kind of delayed after COVID, right?
Sure.
So people want to get out of the house and do more things now. And so making note of that and adjusting your marketing strategy based on that is important. That can be for any type of business.
Yeah. I think for us, we've been, prior to COVID, almost every consultation that we did with our buyers was in person. And then it shifted to be only virtually. And now we're trying to get back to that 50-50 split.
Yes.
And trying to increase our conversion rate by getting people in the door.
Oh, yes.
To actually physically come to the office.
I can't tell you how frustrating our virtual property management experience was recently. But I think getting back to that in person, or at least shifting back to it, would make a huge impact.
Yeah, we're trying. Not every single meeting has to be in person,
Yeah.
but like the meeting, like the most important one,
Yes,
in person.
absolutely. I still take my first consultation meetings virtually, mostly because I've had a few smaller businesses kind of utilize the meeting to get as much free advice and
Sure.
then never.
Which is fine, right? Like you want to help people and give them the advice, but
Absolutely.
also you have a young family and taking time away is hard. And if you can cut down on the travel time, you might
Well,
put it.
and it's
I like that.
beneficial to both people, right? Because you wanna make sure it's the right fit.
Right.
And a lot of times I will have a consultation with someone and I might not be the right fit, but I'll tell them where to go.
Totally. I
So
think that builds credibility. I mean,
absolutely.
I can do lots of things. I do a few things really, really well. And so if there's something that someone needs like a really specific expertise, I'm like, I'm not the person for this,
Absolutely.
but I know someone who is.
Yes.
So let me hand you to someone who's great at that
Yes.
particular thing.
The other thing I've been harping on recently with all of the shift in digital media right now, there's quite a few shifts going on with Meta and people wanting to leave Meta and new platforms
I've been
and
seeing
TikTok.
this and I'm like, so again, maybe you can settle this for me. So I totally understand people's position on like get off Meta.
Yeah.
Totally understand that. I also understand people's hesitancy to go deep in TikTok because TikTok can still go away, right?
It
It's
could.
very likely that it's going to go away.
Yes.
Maybe, I don't know. I say that now, but who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
Yes.
So like if you're playing smart money, I am going to invest time, energy, and money into digital marketing. Where do I go?
So if you're already, here's the problem with Meta is it is by far the largest platform.
Right. Most eyeballs.
Yes.
But your reach stinks on it, right? You have to
Correct.
pay to get reach because they're trying to monetize everything.
That and because it's saturated, right? So that's why TikTok became so easy for all these creators to make a ton of money on TikTok because the way their algorithm works is creepy. It gathers a significant amount of data on you that violates all kinds of privacy.
But my For You page knows exactly what I want to see. I'm entertained by it.
I agree because as creepy as I know that it is, I only see what I wanna see or what I'm looking for recently or that kind of thing,
Totally.
and it's what I wish the Meta algorithm would do, but at the same time, I understand people's opinions about privacy, etcetera. However, the main thing is going where your customers are, right? So there might be shifts right now. You might stay on Meta right now for a while and see what happens with it, right? Is there a mass exodus? If there's not, then keep doing what you're doing on Meta. If there is a mass exodus, where do people go? Where are they going? Are they going to Substack? Are they reading Substacks now? Are they on TikTok now? Where did they go?
Yeah.
And are your customers on TikTok? That's the big question too, because in the beginning, it was very young people on TikTok only.
Yeah.
And so did it make sense for a lot of businesses to go on there and try to get their winemaker or whoever to do dances? No, it didn't make sense. That's not your target customer.
Sure. But that's evolved over time, right?
Correct. It has evolved over time and it has surpassed Google in terms of a search.
I learned so much stuff on TikTok.
Mhm.
I mean, like we talked about, we have 3 little kids and I'm on like parenting talk and book talk and all sorts of stuff. And I get my book recommendations from there. I learn about parenting tips and like it speaks directly to me. And I totally, totally am a TikTok believer.
Oh yes,
I
me
hope it
too.
doesn't go away.
I know.
And I've like played with posting on there and I get some traction, but then I'm like, do I really want to like spend all this time and energy building this audience and then it can be banned and then what happens? Then I got to go take that audience and move them somewhere else.
Well, and that's where you never want to rely on social media for your audience, right? So if you are if you're looking at social media, you want to look at it as the top of the funnel, right? It's where you get brand awareness. It's where you get eyes on you and your brand. And then you want to funnel them to your email list or to your website, where you can now collect and own that data instead of Meta owning that data. And if Meta goes away, or TikTok owning that data, and if TikTok goes away, you don't have it anymore.
Talk to me about email. What are you advising people do with that?
I love email marketing.
This is a trend. We had Ed Troxel on the podcast this past week, and he was talking about his email newsletter and how like email was dead for a long time, and he's like, and people kind of turned their back on it, and now like you get some good conversions off of that. You have a captive audience, and if people are like subscribing to you, then they want to see your message.
Yes, exactly. It is a warm lead,
Like, don't
and
spam
people don't forget,
Right.
don't remember that. It's a warm lead. So yes, don't spam people. Sending emails every day is a nightmare. It's a lot of work, and then you're probably going to get unsubscribes. You can test out how often your audience wants to read your emails.
Okay, so tell me more about this, because I have like an email newsletter. That's one of my things I say every year. Like I need to be more consistent with my consumer email newsletter. I have one for my realtor partners because they're different messages.
Mhm.
So like, give me some best practices for someone who's trying to market to via email.
The main thing is segmenting your list, right? So you are probably going to have some people who real estate isn't their job, but they're actually very interested in real estate, and they want to hear what's going on in the real estate market. And those are like your learners. And so maybe you have a segment of your list that is your learners, right? And so the main thing is trying to figure out who those are. And getting them into a segment. The other might be people who are like very hyper local, right? Just Petaluma. You could do a geographical.
You want event
segment.
news.
Yeah, exactly. So you can segment based on interest. You can segment based on geographic location. You can segment based on quite a few things. For a chocolate company that I worked with, we needed to gather more data so that we could get more personalized in their email and give them the content they wanted to see. That's the main thing. If people are subscribing to your email list, what do they want to see? Give them only what they want to see. Don't give them like that's the part of not spamming. So if they're coming to you for real estate information or news or updates, et cetera, the more technical side, then give them that. If they're coming to you for events and family-friendly stuff, give them that.
Yeah, but nobody wants the canned recipe, right?
Yeah.
Like the recipe of the month thing. Nobody wants that. Don't send the recipe of the month.
No. Is that a thing in real estate?
It is. It drives me nuts. Like nobody wants to see that.
No.
Give them things that they want to see is the point.
Correct. So I have a friend who's a realtor in Napa, and he and his business partner, I was always shocked by like the amount of personal and behind the scenes stuff they would share on social media. But their audience loved it.
People love vulnerability, and people love to see the behind the scenes.
They wanted to see him going to the gym. I couldn't believe it. They wanted to see him going to the gym. Because for me, I have just my brand is a bit more professional, right? So I wouldn't
the informal nature of it.
Exactly. Kind of.
But there's a reason why like the get ready with me type like content.
Absolutely.
People love that, and people want to see you stuffing envelopes and talking to the camera about the work that goes into making your business work.
And if your clients are starting to get younger, they want to see that. There is the owner of this fashion company called Odd Muse, and she has blown up on TikTok because she shares everything. She shows her trips to China to meet with the manufacturers. She interviews the manufacturers on video. Like, it's very behind the scenes. And she shows her struggles. She shares everything about the ups and downs of the business. And that's what younger people want to see.
They want to see that inspirational kind of behind the scenes.
Yeah, they want to see how it's created.
How it's done.
And they want to see the face and the people behind the brand. They want to know what makes it tick, right?
Totally. Now, it makes a lot of sense. And I also think so, like thinking like real estate wise, people like to see big fancy houses.
Yeah.
Right. People love that like aspirational thing. Like, hey, this is the most expensive house that's sold in, Napa County, this year. People love that type of content. And like you said, the personal, the behind the scenes, the 5 a.m. driving to the gym posts.
Yes.
Like it's so funny. I spend so much energy on these like well thought out videos and to post things, and they get 100 views.
Yeah.
And then I post a picture of my kids doing something dumb, or something silly, and 1,000. It's like,
No, yeah.
it's people just want to see that authenticity.
Yeah, people want to see how you run your business and the behind the scenes of that. So yes, do you want to, because you're still trying to sell a home, right? So
Right.
do you want to show the home? Yes.
Yeah.
But you want to mix the content of the highly curated, virtual tour of the
Yeah.
home with as well the behind the scenes of, let's say you're going to a broker tour and you're, sitting there and you
Totally.
want to say like, oh my gosh, this sink has this type of marble and like,
Totally. Have you seen this is very niche, so tell me if I'm anyway. On TikTok, have you seen the Amalfi Jets?
I have not.
Okay, so there's this company that does like private plane charters. So they're like,
Okay.
flying from somewhere in LA to New York, and it's like $50,000 for a one-way,
Yeah.
private jet thing. And the whole channel is Colin, the owner, like taking phone calls, and it's like these ridiculous characters calling in and being like, "Oh yeah, I'm
Oh, I
going
have
to
seen that.
right, I'm going to so and so, I'm going to an anime convention, and I'm bringing 10 of my friends, but we're going to come in costume. So I need to be able to get like a 10-foot wide thing on." He's like, "Well, I guess we're gonna need like a really big jet for that, but yeah, we can accommodate." And that's the whole channel, is him like taking these phone calls.
Yes.
And he gets millions of views, but it's that behind the scenes thing. Like people are fascinated by
Yes.
these private jet charters, and like you see them and like who's actually flying in those, and you're like getting the behind the scenes view. That's
Absolutely.
amazing.
A day in the life.
life.
People want to see it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
They want the nitty-gritty, and it doesn't stop at the luxury client, right? So the luxury client does not, because the luxury client has shifted, right? So you're no longer, yes, there are some of those clients that are older and probably not following you on social media
Sure.
and only care about the technical aspect and want to see what you can show them house-wise. But there are now these younger people who are wealthy and buying homes and investing in real estate, and they are on social media, and they do care about what's going on behind the scenes because
Totally.
they want to know who is selling them a home.
Totally. So the funny kind of conversion of this is that Amalfi Jets was doing these posts, and Ryan Serhant like called him to book a plane charter.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden on Ryan Serhant's TikTok, he's like ripping off
Oh, so it's
that, like someone
the
walks
other
into the
side of the
office,
phone call.
like someone walks into the office and they're like, "Hey Ryan, I had this like so-and-so is on contract on this house and they're having this problem." He's like, "Okay, well, let's call, Joe the plumber, and he's going to go," like, so he's like solving the problems like in real time. And
Okay.
it's a rip off of Amalfi Jets. And then there's a few, he posted like maybe 10 of those. And then the assistant walks in and they're like, "Hey, someone just said on TikTok that we're copying, Colin from Amalfi Jets." He's like, "We would never do that." And the camera pans over and there's Colin sitting in
Oh,
Ryan's
that's
office.
awesome.
So it's
Yeah.
like this really cool behind the scenes, like building this really cool audience. I think that's what people, even in our local market are trying to do, is like collaborate with people that you work
Absolutely.
with, share the content, help each other out,
Yes.
build an audience and do something a little bit differently, and don't just do it like everyone else does. Like if you're just doing like a walking tour of a house, that'll get some eyeballs. But like do something fun and creative and interesting.
Yes.
And
Tell a
make it your
story.
own. Tell a story and make it your own is the point.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, people want to see you, if you are showing that you are collaborating with other people or promoting local businesses. And I don't mean just like, this is the coffee shop I go to,
Sure.
or this is my favorite burger in Napa Valley or Sonoma County or whatever. Like, not that content, but like actually engaging your audience too. So, for example, there's a local influencer in Santa Rosa, and it has made it so clear to her audience that she loves a deli sandwich. Like, she just loves deli sandwiches, and she will rate deli sandwiches on her stories as she is trying different ones. Or, I've never been here before, and this one's great, but too much bread or whatever. And so she engaged the audience and was like, send me your favorite sandwiches and we're going to do this whole thing where we,
Again, that's a wonderful idea. And that, I think it's a duplication of what Dave Portnoy from Barstool, he does the pizza reviews.
Yeah.
So like find your thing like that. Like
Absolutely.
you don't have to come up with the original idea to go around and rate food. Like Dave's already doing that, but don't do pizza, do your thing. Do deli sandwiches, be the donut reviewer guy or whatever. But people love that content. People would love to see you go into, different establishments that you're going to anyway. Right. And like doing some type of fun rating thing.
But also showing how you support the local businesses too. Because it's one thing to say, like, I go to this coffee shop or this is my favorite burger in Sonoma County. It's a whole other thing to, I think, so I know the owner of a coffee cart locally. Yeah. And she was utilized by a realtor for a broker's open where she came.
Totally. Crafted Cup.
Yes.
Yeah. I've used them for an event too. They do fantastic work.
Oh, the best coffee.
So much fun. And they do Rob Sullivan.
That's who I think.
Yeah, Rob Sullivan from Coldwell Banker. Shout out Rob. Hires them to go do open houses and stuff like on Saturdays. So if you weren't drawn in by the beautiful houses that Rob lists, maybe you'll come out and get a latte and then go take a walk through the house.
Yes.
Super smart marketing.
Absolutely.
And again, that's a win-win because now people are getting exposed to the Crafted Cup brand.
Yes.
And we'll seek them out and utilize for them.
And now you just got access to their audience as well.
Super, super smart marketing.
Mm-hmm. And that's where the partnerships is where you need to be pretty strategic. So if you're going to do a co-marketing event and everything, make sure that their audience contains your audience.
Right. And that the brands overlap. They shouldn't be opposing each other. They don't have to be the exact same.
Yeah.
But make sure that they are similar and that they are, they work together.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Really smart.
Yes.
What else? I know that you have to get home to your little one.
That's right.
So what else should people be thinking about in terms of their marketing strategy, implementation? Give us some like high level.
I think the main thing is don't overthink it, right? Because there's so much you can get caught up in, especially with social media in terms of the algorithm and how it works. And you have to be posting a reel every day and da-da-da. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself.
Yeah.
If it's not, that's how it becomes inauthentic. And so you want to do what's authentic to you and what your target audience is doing. So with my business, I incorporate branding significantly into the marketing. So when I'm sitting down with someone who's going to be a new client, I have quite a large onboarding process because I want to get into the nitty-gritty of your business. If you don't have a brand guide, I am going to create a mini one for you.
So it's like a brand guide or style guide is like colors, fonts.
That's the visual identity part of it. So that's part of the brand. And a lot of people think of the brand as the logo, et cetera. That's the visual identity. I'm not a graphic designer, but I have graphic designers who can do that part of it. I do more the brand strategy. So I'm getting to know who is your ideal customer. And maybe someone's had that one customer that's like, okay, I just need 5 more of those. Or I need 100 more of those.
But it's like building that like prototype of this is the person when I'm thinking in my brain of who I'm talking to when I'm curating this message.
Very, very
This is what that person looks like, the kind of car they drive, where they shop, where they go to the grocery store.
What do they read?
Like, what do they read?
Where do they hang out?
What TV shows are they watching? What brands they associate themselves with?
And people get nervous that that's going to alienate people if they get really specific on that one person. But I promise you, if you get very specific on that one, avatar of a person and you speak directly to that person, other people fall into that tunnel of that person because not only that's why influencer marketing works, right? Because not only are there people who relate to that in terms of like, oh, this is just like me. You're that person speaking to me. But then there's also those people who aspire to be that person.
That's who I want to be.
Yes.
I can't do that now,
exactly.
But I can connect myself in different ways to aspire to become
And
that person.
sometimes those people become your biggest
They're
champion.
probably the biggest spenders too.
Yes. So,
Smart. I mean, that makes total sense.
so I get very specific and do a lot of research into like what their competitors are doing versus them, peers, etc., and then getting very specific into that that customer and what their interests are, and
Mhm.
then making sure like, okay, let's say they are a very sophisticated, very wealthy customer. They're reading Airmail, they're reading WM Brown magazine, they're reading, they're reading these Substacks, that kind of thing. So those are the accounts that you're following and engaging with on social media,
Got
etc.
it.
Those are the things that you're referencing maybe in your emails of
So
like, oh, I
we're
just read this article from.
so we're trying to get very granular
Oh, yeah.
and understand at a fundamental level, like how people can like perceive themselves and how they think that they present themselves, their image that they present, and then we're like talking to that person,
Yes.
right? So
And
like you
in
said,
their tone of voice.
right. So if you're reading this thing and supporting these initiatives or whatever, then you're, like you said, you're referencing those in your email marketing, because then it's like, oh yes, I'm also
You
associated.
open that discussion up. Yes. The more you can, so in social media, you want to see how many DMs you're getting, right? Are people responding to your Instagram stories or your posts with DMs to you? Are they direct messaging you? And are they conversing with you as if you're a peer or as if
Hmm.
they care about what you have to say? That's a good reference point for how well your social media is doing. Not
Interesting.
necessarily the number of likes or anything, because
Right.
I can scroll past and like, oh, it's a pretty picture and I like it, but I didn't necessarily read the caption or I didn't comment, etc. Or there's other people playing the game too, right? They want reach on their social media, so they're commenting saying, love it, right? But that's not doing anything for either of you. How
Okay.
many people are actually listening to what you have to say on your stories when you're on video? And I know people hate to be on video, but you have to get used to it. It's just necessary at this point.
Totally.
How many people are responding to what you have to say and actually having a conversation with you of, I can totally relate to this, or, oh, I saw that too. Have you seen this? Have you read this book? That kind of thing.
Yeah,
And
I
then
have to take inventory of that now,
Right.
because I'm thinking about like the number of DMs is a really good metric,
Mhm.
right? Because if I had 5 people watch a post of mine or watch a video of mine and all 5 of them reached out and took action and wanted to do something, hey, do a buyer consultation, whatever it is, I'd much rather have a 5 watch and 5 conversions than a million people watch it and no one actually reach out to take action.
Well, and that's the thing is, even if it's just to message you to not take action and just to say, like, I loved what you had to say about this, and then it opens up that conversation, converse with them. That's why it's social media, right?
Wild.
And
You have
so
to be social.
the algorithm will see you more as a person instead of a business, especially if you have a professional or business account on there, and they'll put your stuff in front of people
Totally.
more as
Yeah,
well.
I've noticed that when I post consistently,
Mhm.
personal stuff, pictures of the kids, pictures of us doing stuff, whatever, and then I combine that with businessy posts and clips from this show and other things like that, I get more reach overall.
Yeah.
And when I don't post those things, I just post, a clip of the podcast, I get a couple hundred views, but nothing crazy. So you really have to do the consistent work, make it into part of your daily routine to engage, and not just but love it and hopefully they click on your profile and do whatever else, but like actually engage and have conversations and send DMs and make it,
If
make it social.
if you're a smaller business still trying to grow, every time someone follows you, if they have a public account, message them. Look at their profile and find something about them that you can relate to and message them. I had a copywriter do that with me, and it was incredible. She was like, "Oh, I see you're in the Bay Area. I grew up in the Bay Area. I really miss it. Like, can't wait to, chat with you more."
Super authentic conversation.
Absolutely.
And it makes you want to reach out and
And
make
it's like
contact.
she took the time.
Yeah. And don't be the person, if you're listening to this, don't be the person who tries to sell me something in the first
absolutely not.
message. Don't do
Please
that. Like I know by looking at your account, I know that you're going to try to sell me something.
But don't even do the intro of like, I'm a realtor in this,
Yeah.
area, and I had done this much. I'm number one at blah, blah, blah. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Don't even do that. Just authentically reach out and
Yeah.
find something in common with this person and say, thanks so much for the follow. I saw you this, I love that. Have a great day.
Totally.
End it there. I
Yeah.
guarantee that will go so much
Yeah.
further.
Don't pitch.
Yeah.
Try not to pitch me. Okay. This is great. I think that we should leave it there and just understand like, hey, segmenting your database, making experiences that last and memorable things that people think about today, tomorrow, years from now, that should be the objective. Looking at number of DMs you're getting when you're posting, and that's the good metric to know if your message is resonating with your audience, being consistent and like making it personal.
Yeah.
Anything that we missed?
I mean, I could go on forever.
I know.
But no, I mean, I think, finding like get in the head of your client, make it personal, and that will change your marketing significantly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Ashley, if people want to get a hold of you and they want to have a conversation, what's the best way to reach you?
They can reach me on social media, Refine Creative Co., or they can email me hello@refinecreativeco.com.
Perfect. We'll put that in the show notes. People can reach out, and it's really great to see you. Thanks for making the time to be on By the Bay, and we'll see you next time.
Alrighty.
Stay up to date with Bay Area real estate. Hit subscribe now if you haven't already. Did you enjoy this episode? We love reviews in the Apple Podcasts app. We'll read yours on the show. This is By the Bay.
Lending Ear Media.